Seven deadly sins are a concept I have gone over before in a previous video. It is vices that affect everyone and are the root of all sin in certain religious denominations. These sins can be used in storytelling as vices for characters that can lead or explain their quote-unquote sins in their stories. And these can be for characters both good and bad. Previously, I'd gone over how these sins affect the characters in Dragon Ball in my most popular video, and I thought it's time to bring it back. I was considering making perhaps an opposite video of the 7 heavenly virtues of Dragon Ball, but I decided to reach out and tackle a new series through the deadly sins first. And the series that I'm going to go with is, in my opinion, one of the greatest shonen of all time, and only gets better as it keeps going, Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. So we're going to look at which each Jojo from all 9 parts represent each sin, and how those affect them in the story, as well as their sins, their actions, their development. So we're going to start with lust, and I believe Jolene is lust in the purest possible perspective, as she has a pure lust for life itself and the enjoyment of all that comes with life. In the beginning of Stone Ocean, she wanted to experience family, love, and most of all, freedom. Even after all the suffering she was put through from enemy stand users, neglect from her father Jotaro, and corrupt police, she still found joy in her friends and her father. Even that want to have that father in her life is driven by lust, a desire for closeness. And this lust, which is the desire to be able to enjoy all that life has to offer, is what makes her ending so poignant. The Joestar curse chains her down, and Jolene was willing to let it kill her to save the rest of the world. Emporio is the only one who knows that that sacrifice led to Irene, and now she gets to indulge in enjoying a normal life, how she never would have been able to before. And of course, this lust is not a sexual lust. The definition of lust just means more of a great desire. And while it can take the form of sexual lust, that is not how I would describe Jolene's specific lust. Although she is willing to be with anyone, according to what she says about snails, but that's besides the point. Next, I'll go with Gluttony. And I'm going to say Joseph Joestar is Gluttony. Because Joseph is kind of insatiable when you think about it, isn't he? So let's get the obvious out of the way. He had the absolute baddie CZQ, who aged like fine wine, and he still went to a country he hates to bag the fine Tomoko Higashigata. This guy just had to keep on indulging, which is what gluttony is all about. Continuing to indulge in what you enjoy, even when it harms yourself or the people around you. Obviously, in his own part, battle tendency, he's got his own gluttony, just constantly wanting more of the glory. It's what sets him and Caesar as rivals in the beginning. By part 3, he's a lot more responsible, but still prone to indulging in the local cultures even when it's proven to be kind of dangerous and he doesn't really know as much as he pretends to. In part 4, Joseph's gluttony is pretty much gone, despite it pretty clearly setting up Josuke's whole existence, which obviously sets the story in motion. He still shows a tiny bit of gluttony, adopting a whole new baby, but his wanting to have more and more family is really overshadowed by him just wanting the best for Suzuka Joestar. So I think it's a good thing that he adopted Suzuka, even if he might not live as long as he wants to see her grow. For greed, I'm going to go for Jotaro. And this might be the biggest stretch, but Jotaro is greed because he wanted his cake and to eat it as well. That is to say, he knew the danger that would come with having a child, raising Jolene. But knowing how much he loves his family, the idea of Jolene, he decided to have a daughter anyways. I of course understand that Jojo was not a bad guy for separating himself from Jolene in order to protect her from stand users. But the fact is that Jojo both wanted a child and wanted to keep her safe, even if it was required for her to lose her own father. Jotaro was kind of doomed to greed, even if he stayed with her, because if she did get hurt, then it would still be the greed of him wanting to stay with her, knowing that it would bring danger to her. And even if having Jolene, hell, even Jotaro keeping his mother and daughter at the cost of friends, I think Jotaro was well-meaning in Part 3 and Part 6. But at the end of the day, Jotaro fits greed because he doesn't want to lose anything important to him. And that includes the chance to have a daughter, even when he knew danger could come. By the way, if you've been liking the video so far, please comment and subscribe. I got 99% of you aren't subscribed, and this last video of the 7 Deadly Sins got a lot of views, but not too many subscribers from it, so I'm hoping that could change with this one. The next sin is Sloth. And I'm going to say, this is a little innocent one, but I'm going to say Josuke is Sloth. And Josuke is just a regular guy. He's kind of an unmotivated guy too, when you think about it. He doesn't have the fierce determination or resolve of other JoJos, or the valiant quest to save his family. He's just a kid stuck in a weird town with a hidden menace inside of it. His sloth is most visible in his get-rich-quick schemes with Shigechi and his lackadaisical approach to training with Jotaro. Even the Kira search wasn't really headed by Josuke or anything. He just happened to be in the right place in the right time to find Kira. Speaking of Kira, though, Josuke is everything Kira wants to be when you think about it. Josuke is a regular guy, but Josuke knows how to be unique and flamboyant, while also be a little bit intimidating. Josuke, despite not being incredibly motivated, is emotional, is human, is excitable. He's everything Kira is not. Josuke is effortlessly himself, while Kira puts in so much effort just to be like Josuke, but not as good. So while Kira puts in all that effort, Josuke's effortlessness is kind of a sloth in a way. But I actually have another JoJo that fits sloth, and that's Jojo. So Jojo embodies sloth to me, which may surprise some who would have expected him to be greed. His whole story is about becoming rich. But the truth is, Jojo is kind of trapped by circumstance. He has older figures in his life telling him what to do pretty much at all times, and he just does it, despite if it's immoral or not. Jojo isn't motivated by greed, money, or even the idea of adventure, but kind of his own sloth, his complacency. His lack of desire or agency is what's trapped him in this cycle of crime, and well, seeing how he will grow past the cycle and maybe gain agency and leave that sloth behind, that's one of the most exciting aspects for the future of JoJo Lands. But onto the next sin, I'm going to go with Wrath. And for Wrath, it's Johnny Joestar. I know that at times Josuke is Wrath when his hair is insulted. Jotaro and Jolene have been both shown to get very angry, and Gappy has shown killer instinct. But Johnny is completely driven by wrath. He had the world and had it brutally snatched away, giving him a rage and animosity towards others. On his journey to return to Zero, Johnny is ready to kill whoever gets in his way. His own anger blinds him to the humanity, or even lack thereof, in both companions and enemies. It grows into something a little twisted. The dark determination that becomes an integral part of Johnny's arc throughout Steel Ball Run. It is such a central theme to Johnny's arc. Even describing the ups and downs of Johnny's wrath would be major spoilers, but anyone who's read Steel Ball Run knows Johnny lets his wrath flare up on his way to reach his goals. Next, we'll go with Envy. And I'm gonna have to say Josuke from Part 8, sometimes called Gappy, is envy. And not only that, he's a man defined by envy, which may be surprising to some, but realizing his core character journey is about understanding who he wants to be is different than who he is. Josuke wants to know who he was. He wants to have an identity. He is envious of who he sees as his past self. He is envious of those two people who make up who he is. He sees them as his past selves, and the journey is rejecting that envy of those past selves. The journey is appreciating the family he has gained in the present, the Higashikatas and Yasuo. His character journey is discarding the envy that defined him, that drove him to search about his past, and appreciate what he's gained, which is what makes Josuke from Part 8 represent the sin of envy, and maybe even more importantly, going past that sin. But for our last sin, I'm going to go with pride. And pride is Jonathan Joestar. But Jonathan Joestar is absolutely defined by his pride in his family. Jonathan's desire to be a gentleman, which fuels his kindness and determination as he grows up, is based on his pride for his family and his father, wanting to live true to the ideals he was raised with, but faltered a little bit as a child. And this ends up extending even to Dio, his adopted brother. Despite Dio abandoning his humanity, throwing away the family that adopted him, Jonathan's pride in his own family meant that Jonathan could never do the same. He could never separate his love for his brother from the new evil vampiric Dio. In the beginning, Jonathan's pride in his father pushed him to seek vengeance on Dio, but in the end, that pride fueled love for his brother and pushed Jonathan to hold Dio to himself at the end of it all. But there's one last Jojo, and that is Giorno Giovanna. Giorno mirrors Jonathan and Dio in many ways, and one of those ways he mirrors them is pride. He also fits the sin of pride. Giorno's resolve is made very clear, and that resolve is power through his own pride. He believes in his own decisions, having enough faith in himself and his journey to take any risk for his goals. His pride is even seen in his character design and backstory, going from a lonely, quiet kid to a flamboyant, colorful teenager after he bonded with the gangster who protected him. He is so prideful, his confidence leads him to fight on fate's side, believing in his goals as predestined, even continuing on his journey as allies fall. This is shown to be near opposite to Passion from before Giorno joined them, when their lack of pride in their destiny caused them to mess with fate, causing more deaths than necessary. Some could analyze Giorno and say his pride is a facade, but I believe even if his pride is a facade, he's lived that facade well enough that it's become part of his being. His pride is fueled by both Jonathan and Dio within him, which makes him the opposite of Diavolo, while Giorno lives with Jonathan and Dio within him outwardly through his actions and personality and goals. Diavolo hides any mention of others' influence on him or his influence of others. He's hidden completely, whereas Giorno personifies two major figures in the series. So, in order, Jonathan, the first Jojo, is pride. Then, Joseph is gluttony. Jotaro is greed. Josuke is sloth. Giorno is also pride, just like his father, or half-father, Jonathan. Jolene is lust. Johnny is wrath. And Jodio is also sloth, like Josuke from Part 4. And there we have it, the 7 deadly sins of our main JoJos. Some portray these sins as positive, like Jonathan and Jolene's motivation through pride and lust. Others are driven but showcase both positives and negatives, like Jotaro and Giorno. while others are excellent showcasing of flaws to grow past, like Josuke from Part 8 and Jodio from Part 9. Let me know if you think I missed the mark on any of these observations or categorizations, and if maybe I should make a 7 Deadly Sins of Jojo Villains or Jo Bros, or any other series you can think of. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more like this. I read every comment, so feel free to comment, and thanks for watching. Keep watching more videos.